Good morning, everyone. Hope everybody's well. I'd like to call today's meeting of the Public Safety Committee to order. Chris Peterson here, as trying to perform admirably, I think, is a stunt double for Selectman Askham. I hope everybody's all well. Chief Bolter, if you're, I know you're online, could you lead us please today in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
My honor.
Melissa, could you do the honors of the roll call, please?
Yes, I will do that here. I have our meeting invite up, so I'm just going to work off of that. Gary Wilcox. Didn't see him this morning. Jennifer Curtanis, I do not see. Chief Baldus.
Yep, I'm here.
And good morning. And Jim, I'm so sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name yet.
Trafficante, just the way it looks.
Trafficante.
Thank you. Karen Stewart.
I am here. Good
Good morning.
morning.
We have Melissa Marquis. I do not believe I saw join the meeting. Mike Berry. Is he on? Not yet. Nancy Sheets. Not on yet. Sarah Nielsen.
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning. Chief Bolter.
Morning.
Good morning. Deputy Chief Davis.
Morning.
Good morning. Kristen Formanek.
Present.
We have Mark Kurtz.
No, Mark's not going to be here today.
Okay. Mark Massaro, I think I saw on the line.
Good morning.
Morning. Neil Sullivan.
Good morning.
Good morning. Tom Roy.
Present.
All right. And I think while we were doing that, Nancy joined. And did I miss anyone else who was on the call? Good morning.
I'm on. Gary Wilcox is on.
Good morning, Gary. All right, Chris, I think that's it for that.
All right, that's it. Thank you, folks. Welcome again. I do, as I was not forwarded the call list. I don't think I received, or don't think we received any public comment.
No.
Okay, great. And then we shall approve the minutes of the March 18th meeting. Any comments on those minutes?
I just had one quick comment. In my office, Kevin Clemens is misspelled. It's Clemens.
Anybody? Okay, thank you. I guess then we'll call for the approval of those minutes stand as commented then. Then we'll roll right into it. So Farmington Valley Health District, please. Thank you.
I don't think we have anyone on the line from the health district yet.
So we're going to move fast.
Joined. Yes.
We're going to move fast today. Maria, I know, is at the Rotary, I believe. Did you, as she forwarded along, Melissa, did she ask you to address those, or you want to just buzz through those and distribute them, or any comments?
I can provide the update that she normally would have provided at this meeting. So I will go ahead and do that. For our general coronavirus update regarding the municipal COVID alert system, Simsbury is currently in an orange status, and that is over the most recent 2-week period ending April 10th. So we currently have 12.6 cases per 100,000 people, and the positivity rate was 3%, which is an increase from 1.5% last month. We had 44 cases over the most recent 2-week period. In terms of vaccines, we have preliminary data from the state through April 14th, and that's showing that 15,593 residents in Simsbury have received at least the first dose of the vaccine, and that's about 61% of the population. The health district is holding weekly vaccination clinics at the library on Wednesdays. And the health district is also helping to schedule appointments for municipal staff at that clinic, just due to our high level of public contact and the essential services that we provide. So we're very thankful for that. In general, our workforce is remaining healthy. In April so far, we've had 5 staff members quarantined due to coming into contact with someone that had tested positive. And this month so far, we've had 2 positive staff member cases. So just as a reminder, we sometimes may experience temporary staffing shortages, and our response time for non-emergency issues can be delayed at times due to that. And we want to continue to acknowledge and thank our staff for engaging in safe practices at work and ensuring that our essential services remain operational. We continue to welcome walk-in visitors to Town Hall and the library on a limited basis. The library did return to its pre-COVID hours for walk-ins on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Town Hall is accepting walk-ins on Mondays and Wednesdays, 8:30 a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m., and Fridays from 8:30 a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. We do anticipate reopening Town Hall, the library, and Eno to pre-COVID business hours on June 1st. So we're working on a more formal announcement and plans for that, and that is forthcoming. We will also be phasing in events and programming more gradually throughout the summer, so stay tuned for more information on that. Staff with indoor work locations will end the rotating AB schedule that we had been on as of May 23rd. So staff will be back full-time together in the office as of that date. In terms of our public meetings, we will continue to hold them virtually through May 20th. But we are looking into potential options moving forward for both returning to in-person meetings, but also potentially coming up with options for sort of a hybrid option so that people could potentially participate remotely and in person. So we're working that out and seeing if that might be a possibility. Just a couple of things to check out. The Social Services Facebook page has a couple of recent posts on some programs, one of which is for discounted broadband services. That's through the FCC, as well as funding support for funeral services during COVID, and that is a FEMA program. So check out the Social Services Facebook page for that information. And finally, we do have a press release on our town website and social media pages about the recent outdoor dining bill and the governor's visit last week. And that piece highlights some of the good work we've done supporting our local restaurants during the recovery. So good information out there on that as well. That's it.
Thank you, Melissa, on behalf of Maria. Michael Berry, I apologize. I was fuddling with my phone during roll call. Is Michael on?
It was not, but Jim Trafficante is.
Okay. Mr. Trafficante, give today's emergency management office update, please.
You're muted, Jim.
Jim, you're still muted.
I'm muted. I apologize. I don't have, I was under the understanding Mike was going to be here. He has the report. The only thing I have different from the incident action plan is that we've been assisting the Farmington Valley Health at the library with vaccinations. I don't have anything really different. If Mike was here, he might be able to tell you something, but I don't have anything. I apologize.
That's no worries. No worries. This is like, that falls in form with sort of how my meetings mostly, which are generally start late and have half participation. So that's okay. Don't worry about it. I actually have one quick question, Melissa and or Jim. When I saw the note about the clinics occurring at the library, are those for broad residents yet, or are they still defined group staff? BOE, or is that actually public now as well in those clinics?
I believe it's public. You have to go and make an appointment.
Okay. All right. Great. So essentially there are options. I mean, I think people out there believe that conventionally you would go to either a CVS or a Walgreens, to either a pharmacy setting or the state, the hospital setting, because that's where the citizenry is going, and that the special locations were for defined groups. But that's good that we should maybe get some more information out that we have a location in town for residents that do not have to be defined by any category, which is really where the state is right now. There's no definition anymore. So maybe
Right.
we could update some of the social media on that, Kristen. And most of I had some people ask me about that the other night at Little League, and I didn't know the answer. So thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
my understanding is that it's public in that it shows up in the VAMS system. So if you were to go in and search, their clinic would come up there. I know they were pretty booked the last time
Okay.
that I was made aware. However, if you have someone that you know that's looking for an appointment, I think they are sort of putting together a waiting list so that at the end of the day, if there's any that were left over, we can certainly add people to the waiting list.
Do you know the van system, does it come up, but only if you select the day that it's, like, would you know it's there as an option, just not particularly the day that it's open? Like, does it only show up as if you select Thursday, April 22nd? Do you know if that's?
This is Kristen. I believe that when you're in the VAM system and you are searching by the radius that you're wanting to travel to get the shot, I think it should show up as an available clinic.
But it not dependent if it's the day you select. It just shows up, and then you click on it, and then at that point you find if it's available the day that you want. All right. So that's good to know, because people were thinking there was only town staff. Nonetheless, we'll move on now. Thank you, guys. Chief Bolter, Simsbury Police Department, please.
Okay, keeping with the theme, good morning, everybody. Just a very short report. Our public safety radio system is continuing to move forward. We are further along than we were last month, and we are still expecting a full revamp of the system by the end of May, hopefully. And that's all I have to report, unless there are any questions.
All right. Excellent. Thank you, Chief. Ambulance.
Wow, Chief, you beat me to the shortest report.
Karen.
Yes, I'm going to be even shorter, but however, I want to submit a veto on the snow, please. Can we vote on that? Eliminate this, please. I actually have nothing to report either. Everything's great. We have full staff and things are good.
Excellent. All right. Thank you. Chief Baldus, maybe something you can spice up today's meeting with. You got to have something interesting.
Okay, real quickly, COVID, on the COVID front, things are great. We're doing very well. Vaccinations are up, and we're doing more and more training with larger groups as permitted to do so. So that's working out quite well. Obviously, we did have a little bit of a storm that came through. If you want to spice the report up a little bit, last night, we did have a few potentially severe calls, one with a tree on a house that did in fact cause significant damage to the house. It's no longer inhabitable at this point in time. Fortunately, even though it was occupied by a family, there was no one in the rooms that were affected by the damage. So they're very lucky in that regard. We also had an automobile incident involving a tree as well, which required extrication of the occupant of that vehicle. This was also storm related. Fortunately, here again, the injuries were very, very minor, and the individual was extricated with the department's help safely. In addition to that, we did have some down lines through with trees that came down that did result in some road closures temporarily. East Weetog Street was one main road that was closed for a while. And also probably the largest one was the intersection of Old Farms and Firetown. That was closed for quite a while because of the primary lines that were down in the intersection and required a significant amount of time to get that restored. The biggest impact was the people that live up on Northgate, where they had to actually get into their neighborhood via Granby. The long way around. But we were in constant contact. Mark Massaro and I had numerous conversations during the course of the evening to make sure that the attention was being given to that particular intersection. And he was also following up to make sure that the other roads that we had were in fact safely open. So Mark, thanks again for your response and your crew response, which was actually very, very good. Nick and Tom with the police and town highway, again, the support on responding to all of those incidences was great. We got road closure signs up quickly, and the police certainly took care of rerouting the traffic as needed. So overall, I think we came through a potential in very, very good stead. So that's your storm report. We have been seeing an uptick in calls to open burning issues in town. Spring cleanup, it's not necessarily uncommon, but again, we do remind our residents that we do have a no open burning policy in this town. You are not allowed to have any kind of open burning of your leaves or lawn debris, things of that nature. If you do, in fact, have a fire pit, which I know are very, very popular, and we certainly don't want to discourage them, just be mindful that they have to be contained well. They have to also be monitored all the time. You cannot leave a fire pit burning without anybody being near it. And also make sure that you have the ability of putting it out. We want you to remember that when we have high fire dangers, that fire pits really shouldn't be used because it does pose an additional danger to the surrounding areas. So certainly be very careful there. And lastly, with the warmer weather that I think will be coming at some point in time, we certainly expect a lot more in terms of increased hikers and people exploring our woods and trails and so forth here in town. And just a quick reminder there to make sure that you go with a fully charged cell phone. And probably not a bad thing to do before you go is learn how to use your GPS locator so you can figure out kind of where you are using GPS coordinates. Because when you do call us, if you're lost or you need some assistance, that can be very, very helpful in helping us to find you much more quickly, knowing where your coordinates are. So it's something that you can work with your telephone. It's probably your kids or your grandkids can probably show you how to do it better than many of us, but not a bad little feature to learn when you have your cell phone with you. And that's what I have today. Sorry for the long report, Chris.
No, thank you, Chief. If I had known that, I would have ran to the kitchen and got a cup of coffee. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Neil, Board of Education. Neil Sullivan, please, sir.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. We are very pleased to report that we last weekend finished our second dose clinics for adults in the school system. We had 3 first dose clinics in March and 3 second dose clinics in April with over 2,000 recipients of the vaccine. And the Farmington Valley Health District was so impressed with the site and the setup and the flow at Henry James that they've asked us to keep it going. So in May, on Saturdays in May, it's actually going to turn into clinics for 16, 17, and 18-year-olds in the 10 Farmington Valley Health District towns to get. And the 16 and 17-year-old age group, it has to be Pfizer. So it's going to turn to a Pfizer clinic. And we're going to, I think they're trying to start that on May 1st, which is a Saturday, but we'll pump that information out through the high school listserv, because obviously the target audience would be those high school students. So the vaccination level of our adults, they'll all be 2 weeks past their second dose by the end of next week. So that certainly, we believe, will help with some of the staffing challenges that we have had, and hopefully it will eradicate any, not only cases, but the need to quarantine, which has certainly been a challenge. So we continue to update the cases and quarantines on our website. If that's a favorite of yours, you can continue to monitor our levels. They are down, just like as Melissa reported earlier. We're seeing fewer cases in our schools, and we are trying to, with changing conditions and changing rules by the governor, we're adapting to what our end of year events will look like. they're gonna be somewhere between last year and the way that they used to look. I mean, we're definitely not having huge crowds, but we are going to be able to do a COVID safe prom and graduation and some of those important events. In non-COVID news, we have given the green light to another project. I know this group knows we have been working to add secure vestibules to all of 7 schools. And this summer, we've given the go-ahead for a project at Tooten Hills School. So we'll have a secure vestibule that brings any visitor into the school, forcing them directly to the main office so that they can't get past the front doors of the school without a stop in the main office. So that we're excited about that. And obviously with anticipating hopefully a positive vote if a referendum on a Latimer Lane project on May 4th, the ability to start to work on safety enhancements for a renovated Latimer Lane, which would be very exciting. So I'll stop there and see if anybody has any questions.
I actually do, Neil. My daughter Alexa is 14 in 8th grade, and it's hard to ask her any question at this point in her life and get. She claims that there is still no school on Mondays in person at Henry James. Is that correct, or am I just too scared to challenge her?
She's telling you the truth there, Chris. So
okay, all right. That's all I need.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Tom Roy, Public Works.
Oh, good morning, everybody. I guess continuing today's theme, we'll keep this quick. Our building and ground staff are continuing to prepare the buildings for our full opening on June 1st. We're supporting the vaccine clinic at the library. Our admin staff is still finishing up, and hopefully we'll have our final submission this week for our FEMA reimbursement for Tropical Storm Isaiah. Things are looking good right now that we're going to see a decent payment from FEMA for the work associated with that. And with May coming up, it is bike month. And tomorrow, just if anybody is out riding their bike on the trail, the section by Dino Nobel is going to be closed due to some construction. So beware of bikers. It's that season. And that pretty much finishes it unless anybody has any questions for me.
Thank you, Tom. Kristen, I heard you say hello earlier. Kristen Formanek, Social Services.
Yes, good morning. Hello. I suppose I can also keep it short and brief. We're doing very well in social services. Our staff is healthy, and we continue with all the programs and services that we've been providing throughout the pandemic. And now we are looking forward to planning how we will be reopening. As Melissa shared, when we return to our buildings full time, we'll be phasing in our programs and services over the summer. And we're looking forward to welcoming back our seniors and our social services members. And that's pretty much it, unless anyone has a question.
Thank you. Thank you, Kristen. Excellent. As always, sorry, Nancy, VNA. I apologize earlier. I was going to say.
You're good, Chris. Everything is good here. I mean, I report we are healthy. It's a short report. We are taking care of the COVID positive patients in the community. There's been no transmission or cross transmission. Just to clarify with the clinics, they are open. We are, a lot of the nursing staff for the Farmington Valley Health Districts. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yes.
We have bad connection here at the agency. Anyway, the problem with, I was just opened up the VAM system to schedule an appointment. Our clinics fill up quickly, so they're not always visible and they're not always easy to see, but we are opening up the Saturday clinics starting May for all age groups, the 16 and 17-year-olds as well. So it's hard to get an appointment sometimes, but the clinics will be running until we've reached capacity the way that we want. So everything is good here at the VNA.
Thank you. Is there anecdotally, if you watch news, national news, they try to create interest because of some group getting it that wasn't getting it before, that sort of thing. In our ecosystem, let's say county or Connecticut, or whomever, the folks who are contracting the virus and becoming sick, is it the same demographic that has been since day one, essentially, or do we have unique, different folks who are showing up with it that weren't necessarily, or populations having it that had it versus April of 2020?
No, when this all started, obviously it was a situation of congregate settings. You know, when it started and it hit, the people that it hit harder were older populations, and then unfortunately older populations that spread like in the nursing homes. As the pandemic has gone on for the last year, you know, over the last so many months, the age groups in the Farmington Valley that are being harder hit are those that are younger, because we're opening things up again. And they're the populations that were not vaccinated first. People that are getting COVID, for the most part, really, they're not people that have been vaccinated. They're people that have not been vaccinated. So the more we open things up, it's the younger populations. Obviously, spring break time hit us hard. Travel has increased. In the 30 to 40 to 50-year-olds, those are the numbers that are increasing. You know, a lot will be dependent on whether or not people choose to be vaccinated, in terms of being able to curb the overall spread. Unfortunately, I do think we have, I mean, I'm not a hysterical kind of person. I don't, you know, I'm not, if this is not politically driven, I think we have a long time to go. As of a week ago, we had 500 cases in Connecticut of the variants, whether it was from Great Britain, even we had a couple cases in the South African variant that they're very concerned about. So, you know, we have some ways to go, but at this point, we're still doing a lot better than most of the nation.
If I can interject here,
Yeah.
we actually from the ambulance have actually seen quite a few cases lately of younger people that we're transporting that are actually COVID positive. So we're not.
Are you, Sharon? Are you saying, when you say just you know, just for the sense of, I don't even know what young is anymore, right? I used to think I was young, but I'm 50. You know, so I mean, are you saying like 7 years old, 12, 15, 20? I think young now people think of the people who are not yet vaccinated. So what is that? Could you give a little more color to that comment?
Fair question. I'm talking probably 40s and 50s.
Okay. Oh, who? Those people are young? Yes. Okay.
Yes. Same. But it's very interesting to see that what's happening now, because actually the number of patients we're transporting, they're in their 80s and 70s and 80s is less, and we're getting the younger people, what I would consider younger, 50 to 60-year-olds that are positive for COVID. So
I don't. This may be a question that I apologize. I just for really my own education. And if somebody may not know the firm answer, when you could, you know, prior to the vaccination, you could become COVID positive, be asymptomatic, not be a carrier. And that was a concern, right? Was folks who weren't sick. So therefore, then they were moving it through the larger community ecosystem. Clarity, if you are vaccinated, I know you can still become COVID. You can still have the symptoms of COVID, but that also could mean that you can be COVID positive, be vaccinated, be COVID positive, and be asymptomatic, right? So it's the myth or the misunderstanding or misconception might be that once you're vaccinated, you're bulletproof and you pose no threat to yourself. More importantly, you pose no threat to the greater community. That is a myth, correct? You could be asymptomatic and be vaccinated.
That's correct. I mean, it is extremely small. I mean, again, if you're a Pfizer or Moderna vaccinated, you're about 95% covered, but there's still another 5%. So you could certainly get sick. You could get COVID sick. You can still be a carrier. The chances of that are extremely small of you being a risk to the greater population, but it's possible.
Yeah.
So That's kind of
both
why
of
we're
my-
in still a gray zone in terms of mask and social distance and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I think you still have to be cautious to some extent based on where you're going or what you're doing. So,
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
I
that's the
am a
bottom
cautious,
line.
I'm a cautious person, and Chief, most people know to have moderate OCD. But when I got my second shot, I got 2 Pfizer shots, and I had 0. It was like as if I had just been stuck in the arm, and the next day, nothing. It was awesome. But I found myself 2 weeks after the second shot saying, "Oh, I can pretty much," questioning whether or not I could go and do anything I want. And that's a person who's fairly conservative in certain aspects of their life. And so when somebody like me says that, then certainly I understand the problem that healthcare professionals have of asking people to continue to be responsible and vigilant participants in our society, even though you've been vaccinated. So I know you guys are going to have an uphill. You have a long uphill climb. We all do. Anyway, all right. So I'm one dragon.
Just real quick, can I tell you real quick from the ambulance perspective, nothing has changed for us. Nothing has changed.
Yeah.
We still go in there fully gowned up,
Yeah.
masks, protective gear.
Right. Same here.
I sense you probably will continue with those additional protocols well into the future, just because of just the level of uncertainty and the concern for your staff, really, whether or not somebody tells you you're okay.
And we did prior, but still, this is more, you can't, we always assume, I hate to say this, we always assume you're COVID positive.
Right.
Sure. I understand that.
As well. And, the reality is you have to, even if you're vaccinated, you have to consider you're going in and out of other people's homes, in and out of public. So you really have to be we are top everything, same precautions. So
absolutely.
It's just been since the last month that my staff can almost sort of feel like they can travel again, because the state mandates for us meant we just didn't go anywhere. And so we are still in very much the beginning stage for us. That's how it's going.
Yeah. Thank you. I pulled a tangent there. I apologize, folks. Keep things moving. I don't recall again. Sarah, is Sarah Nielsen on for Main Street?
Yes, I am, Chris.
Oh,
Good
hi,
morning.
Sarah.
So as Melissa mentioned, we had the governor come out to Simsbury last week, and we were invited as part of the outdoor dining committee. I will say that I think Simsbury has done a phenomenal job last year. We were actually ahead of the state in the outdoor dining regs. And I really just want to thank our partners, obviously the planning department, as well as the fire, health, and building. So that's what comprises our outdoor dining committee. We've done about a dozen outdoor dining permits already within a couple of days. And that includes both renewals from last year. Renewals means that there was absolutely no changes from their outdoor dining plan, as well as 3 new proposals for outdoor dining. So just a note to people that are watching, just be cautious. Be careful. There's outdoor dining that's happening, outside on lawns, in parking lots, things like that. So it's just great to see. We're working with the businesses on getting more clarity on the new sector rules. As many of you know, there was a big announcement. We're starting as a state to lift restrictions starting May 1st, and then there's more restrictions being lifted May 19th. Just a couple examples are they've moved the closing time back from restaurants and bars. They can now close an hour later, which is midnight. So we've kind of progressively gone back from that, there was no indoor dining to the 9:30 curfew. And so now we're going to be at midnight. They're reopening some restrictions related to outdoor bars and outdoor food and alcohol. And by May 19th, they anticipate that most of the restrictions will be lifted, with the exception, again, of masks where social distancing is not available. But again, we're waiting on more clarity. I just want to thank the Simsbury Police Department. The chief has done a really great job of especially, I mean, every time, but very recently, we've had a lot of business updates that are related to the business community. So the chief is getting those out to me. Just an example, there was a burglary at a local package store, and we got information out to the other package stores. And then there was some catalytic converter thefts, and again, related to surrounding towns. And we were able to get that out to our car dealerships and our auto mechanics and things like that. So I think it's been a really great program. I've heard back from the businesses, and they're incredibly pleased by the quick communication. And then finally, I'll mention that Sunshine Wheels, Main Street celebrated their ribbon cutting. We actually did it at Eno Memorial Hall because Sunshine Wheels' second location is located in Simsbury. They're at the state-of-the-art McLean campus, but McLean is still closed to visitors. So thanks to Maria Capriola and to Kristen Formanak and to Tom Roy, we were able to actually hold it at Eno Memorial Hall. And the way it relates to public safety is that they provide transportation, reliable transportation for seniors, as well as mobility challenged people and their caretakers. So they have nice big vans. They run very great COVID protocols, but they're going to provide safe, reliable transportation for people that need to get groceries all the way up to, appointments for medical appointments and everything in between. So I think it's really important. And also if people have Medicaid or Medicare, I believe that they anticipate that most of that cost is covered. So to those watching, I think that's a really fantastic thing. They're in the Valley now. They're in Simsbury. And we had David Bordenero from McLean as well, the president of McLean. So what a great partnership and something amazing for our part of town and for Simsbury. And that's it.
That's not it there. That's a lot. Thank you so much, as always. For the good of the committee and the community, under other business, any members have questions, comments, or reports to bring forward?
Yeah, Chris, if I could make a couple of comments from the fire district.
Did I skip you, Gary?
Well, no, I was going to tag along at the end of Jim's report, but we rolled into the next one. So that's
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead,
it's with the fire district, it's budget time, and so that everyone knows, and we had reported last month that we were working on the budget. Our proposed budget is complete. It is now posted on our website at simsburyfd.org, and that's in detail on the website. And that we approved to move that proposed budget onto our May annual meeting. And that budget, if everyone remembers, last year at the beginning of COVID, what we did was we had a zero increase budget last year. So we're kind of feeling the effects of that to a certain degree. And our proposed budget coming in this year, of course, we're feeling the benefits of an increased grand list. And so the mill rate increase that we're looking for is a mill rate increase from 1.19 to 1.22, which is a 2.5% increase in the tax rate on that. So look forward to that budget coming to the public at the beginning of May. And then also additionally, one other item to report on. Here a couple of months ago, the thought came to us to get together and hold some kind of initially we called it an appreciation event. Our thought was that having come most of the way through this COVID pandemic, that we've had our volunteers have really stepped up in the Simsbury Volunteer Fire Company and done what they've had to do to meet the demands here over the last year, and certainly everyone else in emergency services, all the other first responders, the police department, the ambulance, and of course, bring in our healthcare workers and all that have really done an outstanding job over the last year. And we felt that it would be a great thing if and here a couple of months ago when things were beginning to look a little brighter, and so we thought that if we had an appreciation event, we spoke with Missy at the Performing Arts Center, and we had an available date in the fall that we could have obtained the band shell and had a couple of bands come in on a Friday night and host this appreciation event, which it kind of started to take the nickname of a thanks to you event, but so that all of the individual agencies could show their appreciation to their individual people for everything that they've done throughout this past pandemic period. And just come in for an evening of music, bring your picnic lunch, bring a guest, bring your spouse, bring your family, sit down on the grass on a nice summer day and enjoy the night. And all it was going to be hosted by the fire district, by the police department, by the ambulance, and so on. And so everyone thought we had a great idea, and we were looking forward to that. As we got into it a little bit more, and I think that it just fell into timing is everything. When we first started discussing this, things were looking better, and then all of a sudden the positivity rate started going back up, and we did field some concerns from a number of people that felt that while the effort to have this event was great, and the desire to have it is still there, and it's great, but we felt that it was maybe a little premature to be able to just sound the all clear signal and bring everybody back around and have a big get together. So it was decided that yeah, maybe the timing wasn't right. So we moved to postpone this until a later date. And so maybe we could look forward to having this event happen maybe in 2022. And of course, again, timing's everything. Now, fast forward to now, and now the governor has lifted a lot of or most of these restrictions, and things look better than they did just a month or a couple of months ago. So just to let everyone know what was on our mind, what we had thought, but at this point in time, we're not going to move forward and actually cement a date and hold this event. But the reason for holding it, I think, is still there. And we very much look forward to the day that we can have this event. And it wouldn't be just a closed event just to emergency services and first responders and healthcare providers. It would be an open evening for anyone in the town to come to, buy a ticket, and enjoy a lovely evening of music and friendship. So we'll keep you posted on that. Thank you.
Well, thank you. No, I appreciate that. There's been some of us, sort of having conversations around that, how properly to address those who have helped us, and also to rejoice in the sense of our community, what we have and what we're fortunate for. So certainly you'll have, I know you'll have at least vocal support. I may not be there to do any labor, but I'll attend. But we'll have our support for the board. Thank you, Mark Massaro. Usually you get pushed to the other category. Do you have a report for today?
I do have something really quick. Thank you.
Yeah.
So again, we're starting to see another uptick in scams of people, portraying themselves as EverSource. They've even gotten to the point now where the calls coming up on your caller ID say EverSource. More than likely, it's not us calling. But what I would like to say is, there are many ways that you can verify things to protect yourself. Our representatives will always be able to provide the name on the account, the account address, and any exact past due that may be on an account. So those are questions that if you're getting a phone call, you can ask. If they can't answer them, right away it's not EverSource reaching out. We always say never immediately pay for anything. The caller's requesting immediate payment, especially when they're saying use a third-party service or pay by a prepaid debit card. Hang up right away and give us a call, and you can verify the status of your account with us. Never wire money to anyone. You're never going to get that back. And please don't accept offers from anyone to pay your bill and provide any other service for a fee. There's many ways that you can verify things with us, and just give us a call at our customer service center at 1-800-286-2000, and a representative will clarify any information or questions that you may have. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else for the good of the group?
Yeah, I just have one thing. Mike was able to email his report to most of us. So I won't take your time in reading it. I know you guys can read it on your own. He had some technical difficulties, couldn't get into the meeting, and then he couldn't stay. So just wanted to bring you up to date on that.
Thank you. Anyone else for the group? All right. I believe that our next meeting is the May 20th. Everybody else has that on their calendar already, correct?
We just sent that out this week, so hopefully folks received the invitation.
Great, thank you. Just one last thing, as we stretch the time between these meetings and the content becomes more distilled, that's a good sign, right? For the group, but just from a personal perspective, I often talk about in the set, and I apologize, I'm going to use this. I don't really ever use the word politics, but when in the concept or context of a political discussion around the work being done in town, I often, air to the unbelievable appreciation of the amount of work that is done in our town by people who are volunteers. You see me when you have a 25,000 person community, and when you look at the number of employees we have, and Neil, don't get offended, but if you take that and you distill that down by carving out the BOE, the services that are delivered to the town are done, by and large, by a very small group of employed, compensated individuals, and it's amazing. So therefore, it's amazing the level of services and assistance that are provided in this town by volunteers. It's mind-boggling. People truly don't know how fragile our ecosystem is because of the sense of volunteers. And I know that where I'm going with this, that this committee is made up of folks whose part of it is their job, is the charge that they're responsible for. But there's also people on this committee who are volunteers in different aspects to create 100% of their responsibility and contribution to this committee and to this town. And certainly by me, I just want you guys to know it is amazing what you have done this last year, what you will continue to do, and what you do, generally outside of us with very little thanks and true understanding to the depth of care. And, I think about it, when I drove down Hot Meadow Street this morning on my way to work, like I always say, I was just kind of tripping through life. And so weren't the people who were going on either direction of me. But yet when I looked around, things just kind of happened. Seemingly my town operates safely with a level of respect and a level of contribution that goes completely unnoticed by many folks. And most of those folks are like many of you on this call. So I just, and I don't want to say we take it for granted, but I certainly can say that about myself. I often take things for granted that are provided to me that I just assume sort of come. It's like, I know that, when I was a kid, I assumed Santa Claus is always going to come and give me something as I deserved it. And I just want to appreciate, tell you folks how much I appreciate. And watching this group over the last year, I learned so much about who was responsible for what that I never had before. And that's why many times I ask pretty stupid questions. But I just wanted you guys to know, and especially the staff members from town in the various departments and organizations, it's quite amazing. And that's why we're an amazing place to live and why we live in an amazing country, and people are envious of us by and large. So thank you, folks. So thanks for my sermon. Sean will, Pat wouldn't tolerate that for that long. But I look for a motion to adjourn today's April 22nd Public Safety Committee meeting.
So moved.
Thank you.